Caitlin Clark got a little get back at Kelsey Plum.
She was taking a shot.
Could not help but to drag Caitlin Clark through the glass as she did it.
0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
The WNBA is on a hot streak. They're finally turning a corner.
Kelsey Plum.
Why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose?
Caitlin Clark just fired back, and Kelsey Plum clearly wasn't prepared for the response.
You have sore losers and you have sore winners, and Kelsey Plum is both.
We want to blow them out. We're a lot better than them.
After all the shade and drama, Caitlin handled everything with confidence and composure. Who holds the leverage? Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark. The internet went wild. If you're fully on Team Caitlin, drop 100% in the comments right now. Let's break down how Caitlin shut down the criticism and came out on top.
We agree with why we're watching for the league. We're really watching for Caitlin Clark. Everyone's going to be making more because of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is the one bringing in the numbers.
Well, there's one that moves the needle.
It all began at the WNBA All-Star Game. What was supposed to be a unifying moment for the league instead became another public jab at Caitlin Clark. Players took the court wearing shirts that read, "Pay us what you owe us," calling for increased salaries.
Players tried to get their point across that they want to get paid more. Pay us what you owe us. T-shirts that they were wearing.
The message was meant to be empowering, but Kelsey Plum pushed it a step too far.
There's a shirt that says, "Pay us what you owe us."
During the post-game press conference, Plum couldn't resist taking a jab. Without mentioning Caitlin by name, she singled her out by saying that no members of Team Clark were present.
Not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Or her actually making comments about Caitlin Clark's team not being at this meeting for the CBA negotiations.
For the meeting about the protest, it wasn't merely a comment. It came across as a pointed and deliberate jab.
Plum took a shot at Caitlin Clark during that whole thing about Team Clark wasn't very present for that.
It was clearly intended to single Clark out and isolate her.
To me, I thought that was a little dig at Caitlin. A lot of people definitely thought so.
The goal was to make her appear selfish.
Kelsey Plum, she was taking a shot at Caitlin Clark's situation involving the "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirt.
And turn the fans against her.
So couldn't help but to say that Caitlin Clark didn't join in on the T-shirt discussion.
This week they wore T-shirts saying, making a statement, you better pay us. But instead of just leaving it at that, Kelsey Plum for LA had to take a dig at Caitlin Clark. Here she is.
The T-shirt, just United front, was determined this morning that we had a meeting for. And, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
But here's the reality. Clark didn't attend the meeting because she wasn't participating in the All-Star Game. She had already been ruled out and was back in her hometown focusing on her recovery. She didn't need to be at that meeting, and she didn't need to wear a T-shirt to show that she supports players' rights.
Team Clark, they had no idea what was awaiting them walking into that locker room.
She's the very reason the league has greater leverage in these negotiations to begin with.
But there's no reason to drag her because she did not attend.
Sabrina Ionescu's reaction said everything. She was caught on camera looking visibly uncomfortable and irritated by Plum's remark. Even WNBA veteran Stacey King publicly called it out, asking why they were throwing shade at Caitlin. He added that she's the reason they're earning more. That wasn't just an opinion, it was the truth. Let's be honest.
United front, but only half of us were really united. United front, but only half of us are really talking about what to do behind the scenes.
WNBA viewership has surged. Merchandise sales are booming, and ticket demand is at an all-time high. Why? Caitlin Clark. She's currently the face of the league, and yet instead of supporting her, criticism keeps coming her way. Kelsey Plum attempted to undermine her on a public stage, but the effort backfired.
Kelsey Plum had some things to say about Cece, man.
This is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow.
After Kelsey Plum's jab at the All-Star Game, many stars would have responded directly. But Caitlin Clark took a different approach. She stayed silent and still managed to turn the entire narrative in her favor.
Regular sports fans have entered the chat and taken over the chat.
There was no drama, no interviews, and no public clapbacks, just a textbook example of how to handle envy with poise in the spotlight. Rather than becoming defensive, Caitlyn did what true superstars do. She let her influence speak for itself. Her first response was subtle, yet powerful. Just days after Plum's comments went viral, Caitlin Clark appeared in a Nike campaign, highlighting a partnership that elevated her onto the global stage. That alone made a statement, but what happened next made it even colder.
Kelsey Plum dig. It did very odd.
Might have just ruffled some feathers with Caitlin Clark and her all-star team.
Not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Then came the twist. Kelsey Plum, an Under Armour athlete, also appeared at the Nike event. Caitlin added to the moment by commenting on Plum's Instagram post with, "Thank you for the Nike ad."
Caitlin Clark commented under her picture, "Thank you for the Nike ad. What a weekend."
What a weekend. That was the defining moment, a calm and classy response. No insults, no rants, just a subtle flex that sent the message. While you're out here trying to bring me down.
Now I get why Caitlin Clark did that. That is funny.
You're unintentionally helping promote my brand. It was silent dominance at its finest, and the internet erupted. Thousands of likes and replies poured in as fans immediately recognized the subtle shade. The post went viral, and the message couldn't have been clearer.
That post right there is at 5,000 likes.
Caitlin didn't need to strike back. Her presence alone already commanded the spotlight. And it didn't end there. Fans noticed that she remained at the center of nearly every viral WNBA moment that weekend without even taking the court. Brands gravitated toward her, media coverage followed her everywhere, and meanwhile Kelsey Plum's comments were being criticized by fans, veteran media figures, and even NBA legends. Caitlin never had to say a word. The sports world said it for her.
Caitlin Clark is the face of a league. We love you, CC.
There's one person in this league that when she walks in the building, when she walks in the room, the owners see dollar signs. There's only one person, and her name's Caitlin Clark.
She continued to lead by example on the court as well. Despite the pressure, the physical defense, and constant attention from opponents, Caitlin returned in her next games and performed at a high level. She wasn't focused on slogans or talking points. She let her play, her brand, and her maturity do the speaking. In fact, several analysts suggested Plum's comments may have completely backfired, generating sympathy for Caitlin and highlighting possible jealousy within the league. One NBA analyst even remarked that they were biting the hand that feeds them.
You have sore losers and you have sore winners, and Kelsey Plum is both.
We want to blow them out. We're a lot better than them.
Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind the financial growth many believe the league is experiencing, and that point is hard to ignore. She has helped generate record-breaking ratings, increased fan engagement, boosted jersey sales, and drawn larger crowds to games. Her impact on the league's value has become impossible to overlook, and her silence in the face of criticism only made that more evident.
Caitlin Clark's already rich. She made $11 million this year alone in endorsements.
While Kelsey Plum chose pettiness, Caitlin Clark chose poise, and it paid off. With a single Instagram reply rather than a press conference, she shifted the narrative and left Plum exposed. No arguments, no drama, just results. It was a reminder that the strongest response isn't always the loudest, but the one that rises above.
They believe that they're just as big as Caitlin is. It's not the case.
After Caitlin Clark's subtle response sparked massive online attention, Kelsey Plum's attempt to criticize her quickly backfired and drew widespread backlash. Fans, analysts, and former players viewed Plum's remarks as jealousy, especially after Clark remained silent and let her success speak for itself. As Clark's popularity, brand power, and influence continued to grow, the controversy only reinforced her importance to the WNBA and highlighted the tension surrounding her rapid rise.